Today, we're going to review the Akai MPC X Special Edition. For you guys who've never been here before, my name is Juggernaut of Platinum Production Team Arkatech Beatz. We recently upgraded our old MPCs and machines to a new MPC X Special Edition. Mike D has the MPC Live 2. He'll give you his own review in a different video. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to go through the pros and cons, what I like about the device, what I don't like about the device, because as you know, it is a standalone, basically DAW at this point. And, you know, it does a lot of good things. So just stay tuned. I'm going to go through everything that I like and the things that I see that stood out to me. And at the end of the video, if you stick around long enough, I'll play you the first beat I actually did on this thing. And you guys can tell me what you think about it, if you like it or if you don't like it. So stay tuned. Let's get into it. So let's get into this thing, okay? We got the MPC, and we're going to just basically be talking about just different things that I like, different things that that stand out to me, so forth and so on. It's definitely one of the better standalone devices that I've used in a long time, right? Honestly, the first thing we want to talk about really is the pads, right? Everything is lighting up. Pads feel real good, classic MPC style. The way things are, if you're familiar with this has always been the standard as far as the 16 pads. What we love about that. What I like particularly about this is I really like this Q-Link section, and the Q-Link section helps me to kind of use the knobs for different things. So for example, if I wanted to change the level on this, I can change it here. If I wanted to filter or cut off, I can do those things here. And the way the Q-Link works is that if you pick different parameters, or say for example, if we pick the project, right, it'll change what these things are for, right? So it'll change like the outputs and the volume and things of that nature. The same thing with the pad scenes and the pad parameters. And if you're in effects or something like that, or if you're in a different sound, you can basically change the parameters in that. And let me see if I can go to a sound so you can see that. But so if you notice, what happens with this is that it has different parameters here. And it has all of the parameters that you can change here if you want to for the individual sounds that you're in. So I really like this Q-Link thing, because initially I wanted to probably get the Live 2 so that I can move around. But once I started to kind of think about it, I said, I really want something that's going to just stay home, stay in the studio with me in the crib. And so I can just kind of work directly the way that I need to work. Of course, we got the 4 banks as normal, right? The 4 banks that hold basically 16 sounds per bank. So that, that's a classic MPC thing. Of course, we have the full level, the 16 level, of course, the track mute, and the sequencer, the song mode. Those things are pretty much standard as they normally are. We have the number pad, we have the jog wheel, of course, the tap tempo, and then, the sampler, if you want to basically input and sample on this. And listen, the MPC has a lot of dope things on here. If you are not familiar with that it has an SD card in the front, and I'll show a video so that you can see that. It has also inputs in the front where you can put in your instruments in the front if you want to sample from there. And then also if you want to use your headphones, etc., you can put that in the front jack. It has a 1/4" jack as well as a smaller millimeter jack. In the back, we have a lot of MIDI inputs and outputs, 8 outs, multiple inputs. And this thing all around for me is definitely where I thought Akai really needed to go with it to really make this thing as good as it needed to be. Like I was saying, because we were so used to using this for all of our early hip hop, we were kind of accustomed to it. But what was hard was when I first got it, I got the MPC the MPC software or the operating system was in there, and it's right now it's doing an autosave thing. Always autosave your stuff. But at this point, what we're looking at is it's just different stuff inside of this machine that I think is really works for me, right? I kind of no longer want to really deal with the whole computer thing. Like, I've done that a long time using FL. It just, to me, it kind of takes away the feel of what we're trying to do. And it just kind of makes it more cerebral because, you're really looking to kind of look at things, click and drag, and versus just kind of doing things the way that they feel. And I think that's really why I really wanted to go back to a standalone machine, of course, or a standalone MPC, right? So some of the things that were also added in are the plugins things. The plugin stuff is crazy. When you go here, you can of course you can see all types of different plugins. They have different stuff here. As a matter of fact, let me just go to the browse so you can kind of see where we're at. And this is like a browse menu where you can kind of see different things. We go to sounds, and these are all of like the instruments in here that it has, and it has different patches and stuff. Akai gave us the sub factory to test out. I'm going to do that in another video. Shout out to Andy Mack and crew. What else? Like there are really good things in here, right? So if you hear that, different sounds that it just loads into it. And what I really also like is this pad performance thing, right? So pad performance has this different situation where you can kind of play the pads in a certain sequence. If you want to do chords, right? Those are here, right? So it's like when you're looking at this when you're looking at this, like for example, like we got pianos. And these are different piano sounds. So for those who want to play pad performances, of course, you got progressions. Regular notes. Chromatic chords. You can change the scale. You can change the octaves. You can change the chord. You can, you have aftertouch. Like this pad performance mode, like it really kind of eliminates the need for you having to use a keyboard. But I digress. If you want to use a keyboard still, that's up to you. So the plugin thing for me is a great upgrade. Like this thing that makes it really dope for me. Now, if we can use a whole bunch of third-party plugins, man, we'll be really talking about something special here. Now, of course, when we're dealing with the sampler, I want to go into the sample edit. Of course, a lot of people want to talk about that. This is our tag, so you can Arkatech Beatz. But for example, if you wanted to just have different samples in here, it has, you can also, do your start, your cut. You can do your big chops if you need to. Then you can have a chop and you can assign it to different pads. And that's just classic MPC. But to me, it works really good in terms of just seeing where the regions are, checking out where the thresholds are. And it does a really good job of doing that, of cutting up samples and things of that nature. Of course, we have to talk about the stem separation. And this is something that I almost forgot to talk about because I'm so not used to having it in a MPC. I've been using stem separation in Serato now for, I want to say, close to 2 years. So for me, I've been able to use that. I haven't had any issues. To me, it's been kind of the most, one of the more effective and clean way of using a stem separator. If I had one gripe about this about this thing here is that it does help you to create the stems. My issue with it is that it's not as clean as it is in Serato and or FL Studio. I think it still has a lot of artifacts. Akai just did another update on it to make it a little bit cleaner. If I had to bet my money, I think that they're going to be the ones that win this race. But of course, you would just use this. And of course, if you wanted to take a sample and separate it, you can see what you could separate it as. If you want to separate the drums or the vocals, the bass, whatever it might be in that particular sample. I'm not trying to really give away my sample until the end of the video, right? So you can hear the beat, which I did use a stem separator on. But this for producers that come from my era, you know how important the stem separation thing can be. You know, like, you know, if you had a stem separation situation, like you wouldn't have that era of hip hop that had vocals to it, like, you know, Old Boy and, you know, the Kanye West times and stuff like that. So, you know, stem separation at this point, it really helps to have us isolate beats and use tracks and parts of tracks that we couldn't use before. So in today's technology, it is a godsend. I won't even say anything about it. But if my singular complaint is I wish it could be a little bit cleaner. I think it just has still, like I said, has some artifacts in it. It's not as clean as I would like it to be. And not especially in comparison to the other ones that I use between FL Studio and Serato. The other thing that I wanted to talk about really was like the pad and channel mixer. You know, as you can see, it has a channel mixer where you can go into do the pan, the volume. You can add in effects on it, reverb, anything that you want to add into it. And Akai has a bunch of effects that you can use and add into the chains, what I think can really get you good as far as doing all of your beat mixing inside of the machine. You really don't got to go outside and you know, old school lay it out and then having to, you know, do a whole bunch of stuff to it. You can really kind of play it out as is. The only other thing that they didn't have when we were in sequence mode, and the update just changed that, was when we would put it into song mode, we weren't able to mute tracks from sequence to sequence. So it caused you to have to kind of make a hard edit to do that. So for the most part, it's gotten with a new update that just came out maybe about a week ago. Now you can mute individual sequences in song mode. Hold on one second. Let me get into that real quick. So now when I'm in song mode, as you can see, it has all of the intros, the hook, and all of that, if you can see it. And now I can go in and I can mute individual tracks as per each sequence. And then that can give me a lot more control over how that is going to be basically the conclusion of my review of the Akai MPC X Special Edition. Listen, I like this machine so far, and I keep calling it a machine, but I like this MPC so far. It's definitely one of the things that I've been looking for to help get me back into standalone hardware. And without further ado, I want to play you the first beat that I did on this thing. Leave your comments and tell me what you think. Here we go.